Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be covering my thoughts on where the general crypto asset class is headed, as well as discussing if I think the Bitcoin bottom is in. So if you are new to the channel and you want to show some support, please leave a like and subscribe. So on my chart here, I have this red moving average, which is the 200-day moving average. If you are unfamiliar, it is going to be taking the closing price of the last 200 days and averaging it together to get this red line. So historically, in bull and bear markets, this has provided to be very useful. So we're just going to go back in history and kind of see what price action has interacted and done around this moving average. So in 2011, you can see how we kind of bounced off this before ultimately leading us lower into the bear market. And that was a similar thing in 2013 where we had this initial bounce. I'm going to zoom in here just to kind of illustrate this a bit better. We had this initial bounce off of the 200-day moving average, and from it we bounced about 51% over just a week or so before ultimately closing below it. And then you can see we came back up and rejected on it. So this is actually a pretty common pattern in the bear phase of the market cycle. So I'm going to just circle this so you can have the reference as we shift and transition into the next cycle. So in 2017, a similar thing happened where we came back down to the 200-day moving average, bounced off of it. You can see how we bounced about 50% again, which lasted around 31 days, and then we came back below it, and then ultimately we bounced back up and rejected once again. So you can see how this rejection is pretty similar to this one as well. And fast forward to today, we actually had another rejection in April, and you can see how it looks very similar, where we have price action come back below it, start closing below it, come back up, retest it as resistance, and then drop. So all three of these moves are actually pretty similar in that they have the same general structure where we're closing above it, we break the moving average, come below, retest it as resistance, and then lead us ultimately lower. So if we just take a measured move from when we rejected in 2014, you can see we dropped all the way down 75% over just 227 days. So if we go over to the next market cycle, we dropped about 67% or so over 223 days. So fast forward to today, if we were to assume history were to repeat itself, which I do not believe it will, then that would ultimately lead us to about roughly $15,000 or so into the November of 2022 timeframe. This is a little bit far-fetched. I do not believe this is going to play out exactly the same, considering we did not have a blow-off top similar to these market cycles where we went up crazy amounts in short periods of time. So you can see how we rallied 1,920% in 150 days, and then in this market cycle, the blow-off phase was around 2,000% in 273 days. We had a crazy move back in late 2020 and early 2021. However, it was not to the degree of these two market cycles. So I would argue that the downside will be similar in that it won't be as deep, as harsh. So one of my targets is personally going to be around $20,000. I think a 56% drop from this moving average would make a lot of sense, considering that there's a lot of support at $20,000. I've covered a lot of indicators, some custom indicators as to why $20,000 would ultimately hold as support, and that's just kind of my price target. Again, I do not believe the bottom is in for now. I think we have a long way to go, and if we were to go out 227 days, again, that would take us all the way to roughly November, and I think that is a reasonable target for where the bottom could occur. But again, this is all going to be dependent on global markets, and if you are tracking global markets and traditional markets, we see Bitcoin correlated to the S&P and inversely correlated to the dollar. So a lot of that global uncertainty will ultimately play a role in where Bitcoin is headed. So that's the end of the video, guys. I hope you did enjoy, and as always, I will see you in the next one.